Okay, so I'm Mike Strunk. I'm the multimedia coordinator at the Center for Innovative Teaching and Learning here on campus. And I've been with the university, I guess going over 10 years now. Like a lot of people at the university, I started here as a student and sort of gradually transitioned into employment. But before we get started, and one more thing too, that's my information there. If you have any questions about today's workshop or really anything Blackboard or teaching and learning related, feel free to reach out to me. I am here to help. If for some reason you can't get a hold of me, you can always contact CITL. Somebody will get back to you right away. I'm going to just say my little plug at the beginning here, which is the rule of thumb is that if it takes you more than 5 minutes to figure it out, you should call CITL and ask for help. Okay. So now that you know who I am, I would like to take just a couple of minutes to get to know who you are. If you would be so kind as to either jump on the microphone and tell me your name, what department you're with, how long you've been here, and one of the things you're hoping to take away today, I'd appreciate it. If you don't feel comfortable jumping on the microphone, go ahead and drop your info in the chat and I can share it. But we're a small group, so it's nice to get to know everybody. During the course of the workshop, if you do have any questions, feel free to just open your mic and ask. I do my best to monitor the chat too, so feel free to drop questions in the chat, but I don't always see them right away. So, just be patient with me, please. But if I could get a brave volunteer, I'd really appreciate it. Just kind of let me know who you are and what you're looking to learn from today's session.
Hi, I am Sila Adhikari Devkuta. I'm from Department of Sociology and Criminology. It's been like 2 semesters, the second semester I'm here at NIU.
Oh, nice.
And I want to learn different communication tools that are available in Blackboard. Thank you.
Good. Yeah, no, you're in the right spot. Thank you very much, Sheila. Who would like to go next?
Hi, Mike. This is Lei Zhao from Finance Department. It's all about money. It's all about money. I have been with university. I'm finishing my 21st year, and I'm not very good at technology, so I'm trying to learn something new today. I've been using the Blackboard a little bit and trying to learn some new tricks. Thank you.
Awesome. Yeah, well, you're in the right spot. Welcome.
Thank you.
All right, that leaves you, Joel. If you don't feel comfortable opening your mic, that's fine. Just drop something in the chat. All right, well, we're not going to wait too long, so moving on. All right, as I said, we're going to be talking about, oh, nope, I can't hear you, Joel. I think you're on mute. So I can see your mic muted. Don't worry about it. Just drop something in the chat. I can't do it. Actually, you have to do it. If you look down at the bottom of your window, or excuse me, not at the bottom of your window, at the top of your window, you should see a bunch of icons across the top. One of those would be your microphone icon. If it's got a slash through it, that means you're muted. So just click it to unmute. But if You may not, I mean, if your microphone's not working, that happens from time to time, so don't worry about it.
Maybe he's facing any problem. He's from my department. He's my colleague.
Oh,
Maybe he's facing some problem.
yeah, that's fine. We'll get moving. We'll just assume we know Joel. All right, so today we are going to be talking about the basic communication tool, or a bunch of different communication tools that are oh, yeah, I'm sorry if you're facing some technical challenges. That does happen. Don't worry about it. Hopefully it won't affect the workshop for you too much. If you do have questions, just drop them in the chat. So today we'll be talking about our communication. Yeah, don't worry about it. If you don't, I wouldn't spend too much time on it. Just sit back and enjoy. Today, when we're talking about communication tools, I've tried to sort of divide them up into the ones on the left side are more institution-wide and sort of bigger, whereas the ones on the right are more specific to students and to the course you're in. But there is a lot of overlap here. Excuse me. So keep in mind as we're going through these things, there is some overlap. So, you can do, just because I tell you how to do it a certain way doesn't necessarily mean you can't access these things in other ways as well. We'll try to hit most of them, but if you do have any questions during the workshop today, either drop it in the chat or just jump on the microphone. All right. So, but as you can see on the left side here, got institution, profile page, activity stream calendar, and something kind of new, which is performance alerts. As I said, those are more sort of larger institution level type of tools, whereas the messages, announcements, collaborate, rubric, those things are all contained within your course. So you'll see that as we come through. So, but moving on, just starting off, we've got the institution page. Now, the institution page, I put this in here because you really can't do anything to affect the institution page yourself, but this is where institution level announcements are posted, right? If there is, like, say, a university closure, it will be posted on this page, right, where you see that ultra banner. And so the institution page, like I said, is where you go for those top level university-wide announcements. You can also on the institution page, I should note that what do I want to say? The institution page is customized to your role. So depending on your role at the university, you will see something a little different on the institution page, but everybody will see the banner with announcements, updates, and things at the top. So, like for me, right, I am an administrator, so I have a slightly different view on my institution page as you guys do, who are instructors. And if you're a student, your institution page looks even a little different, but they're all basically the same. They all have the menu on the left side to get you to different areas, things like that. So, like I said, for large university level, announcements that affect the whole institution, you're going to find those on the institution page. And you can see, actually, yes, this is showing more of the institution page. I talked about this, but you'll see links based on your role. You have faculty, so you'll see something that looks similar to this. All right, so next we're going to move to the profile page. And the profile page is actually accessed by clicking your name on the menu. So it's the link right below the institution page link. You can see this one is one I made up when we were switching to Ultra. But on your profile page, this is where you can basically introduce yourself to your students, and your students can also fill out their profile page so that their information is here. There are some things you can edit, not a ton of things, but anything with a link you see that you can edit. And this profile page also allows you to set up some other notification settings, or it's one place where you can set up some other notification settings. But for you, on the profile page, probably the most important things for you to do in terms of communicating with your students are to upload a profile image, which you can do just by scrolling over the image and clicking the pencil icon. That will allow you to upload a image. And there's also down here the second tile on the left, you can actually add a name pronunciation. So you can spell out your name, but this allows you to actually speak your name, right? So you can pronounce your name. And what's really nice about that is that when you put in your name pronunciation into the profile page, that means that it will be available to anyone on their roster. So it means that if your students put in their name pronunciation, you will see that on your roster. It's nice. It's just a little icon. You'll see a little speaker icon that you can click, and they will pronounce the name for you. That's really nice because some names are difficult to pronounce. You don't know, maybe what ethnicity they are, so they can have different pronunciations. So it's really nice to have that in there. The other thing that's important or probably you'll use most on this page are the notification settings, which we'll talk about a little more as we go on here. But you can set like your calendar notifications and your stream notifications, things like that, from the profile page. But there are other ways to do it too. And we'll talk about that a little later. All right, so going down the list, the next icon is our activity stream. And the activity stream is where, and here, let me move pages, is where basically everything that's happening in your courses, everything that's happening at the university is all consolidated into this activity stream. So if there are new announcements or new assignments, you'll see that here. If things get turned in, or you'll also see that in the activity stream. The key, or the important thing to remember about the activity stream is that the activity stream is completely controlled by the end user. Okay, so you can turn off your notifications in the activity stream by clicking that gear icon. And basically, you can decide which, I'm sorry, lost my train of thought. So you can decide which courses that you get information from. And because this is completely controlled by the end user, your students can turn off things in the activity stream. So even though when you create assignments, open tests, things like that, it will automatically go to the activity stream, it is possible for your students to have shut that off, so they may not actually get those notices. So just be aware of that anything, any notices that are going to the activity stream and also the calendar, which we'll talk about in a second, are completely controlled by the end user. So it is possible for your students to turn off those notifications and not be receiving them. Now, as far as I'm concerned, they're adults. If they turn those notifications off, that doesn't mean that they are no longer responsible for that, right? They're still responsible for making sure that they know what is going on in the course, right? If they decide to turn off their activity stream, that's up to them, but that doesn't absolve them of the responsibility that they have to make sure that they are getting their assignments in on time, things like that. So just be aware that the activity stream is something that is controlled by the end user. Now let's move to the next one, which is our calendar. This is where, and if you click the calendar tab, this is where you'll see a layout of the calendar. All of your due dates, coursework, things like that will all be posted here. Again, like the activity stream, you can, it is completely configurable by the end user so that they can decide which courses are sending notifications to the calendar, which aren't. It is, some people don't like to have a bunch of stuff come into their calendar. Some do. Some people just kind of ignore this calendar. So, be aware but this is a way to communicate your due dates and stuff to students. And it's pretty easy because anything you put in will automatically be sent to the course calendar and will appear here, assuming that they have allowed the notifications from that particular course. So moving in a little closer, to add events and things and set up your calendar, you do that by clicking the icons in the upper right, either the plus icon or the gear icon. And the plus icon is what you want to do when you want to add items, right? So if you have an event or you want to add your office hours, things like that, you'll click the plus icon and you can set it up. You can see this is fairly common across Blackboard that you can set up meetings and such. And you can actually set them up to be recurring. You can set them up to occur more than once a week. So you've got a lot of stuff there. But that's how you add events to your course calendar. Now you click the gear icon, right? The other icon there, and that's how you configure your calendar. So you can see, like, in the calendar settings panel I've got open there, you can see how all of these items are checked. So that means that all the calendar items from these courses and such will go to that institution level calendar. But you can uncheck these boxes too, and that will keep those items from being sent. If you have old courses, you don't necessarily need those on your calendar, and you're not going to add anything anyway, so it doesn't hurt to leave them. But, a lot of people like to uncheck these things because if you have too much stuff coming in, it can really be overwhelming. So again, just be aware that this is something that you cannot control. And students may not receive notices because they have turned them off. So if your students are saying, hey, I'm not getting these things, remind them, hey, you need to make sure that these notifications are turned on. Now we've got a new, there's somewhat of a new item in Blackboard, which is these performance alerts. Now they've been here for a while, but they haven't always been turned on. Right now, you can set these up, and what they are is they're alerts to notify you when a student has dropped below certain performance levels. Okay, if they're and you set these up based on your own personal preferences, right? But you can set up a notification so that if their overall grade drops below a certain level, you are notified. If they are not showing, like if they aren't accessing the class within so many days, right? If it's been so many days since they haven't accessed the class, you will be notified. And then also if they miss a set number of due dates, you can also be notified. Now, if you'll notice at the very bottom, there is a checkbox you can check so that these automatic alerts don't just get sent to you, they can actually be sent out to the student. Now, these alerts are currently just sort of a generic message. And right now you are unable to modify these in any way, but they're telling us that in the very near future, you will be able to modify some of these messages and personalize them. Because, right now it's just kind of a generic message. So you will be able to personalize your messages so they aren't quite so bland, I guess, and add a little bit of that personalization that's so important when you're communicating with students, right? Nobody wants to get sort of predetermined messages, right, that are just sort of bland and sterile. It's nice if they have a little bit of personality to them. So in the future, and you'll have to stay tuned because we still don't have all the details on this, but in the future, you will be able to customize these messages a little bit so that they are a little more suitable for your course and your students. All right, I'm going to stop for just a moment to take a drink of water and ask if there are any questions. Okay, hearing none, I will be moving on. Oh, one thing I forgot to mention, the performance alerts, while they are set up automatically, they again go to the activity stream. So your student may or may not see them in the activity stream if they have turned it off, or maybe they don't go there that often. Just be aware of that. I believe there will also be a way to send emails to students as well with these alerts. But as yet, they haven't really talked about that. Just be aware this is something that is improving or is being developed at the moment and is continuing to improve, I should probably say. All right. So that sort of covers some of the more high-level areas. And now we're going to move into some of the more personal or more focused messaging areas. These are areas within your course. And one thing I should have mentioned, we'll do it. We'll get there. Okay, so as I said, some of these tools are kind of mixed together. Some are very high level, institution level, some are course level, some are kind of in between. This message tool kind of bridges both because there is a messages tab on that landing page, right? When you first open Blackboard, when you hit the institution page on that left menu, there's a messages tab. This is nice because what this does is it takes if you click that tab, that'll show you messages from all of your courses. Okay, so if you have, and you can see here, I've got the courses are lined up, just in a list. But on each tile, you can see that you have an icon there, a circle with a number in it. That will tell you how many unread messages you have, right? Just like normal. And then over on the right side of the tile, there's a little icon. So if you want to send a message, you click that, and that will take you to your course messenger. Now, one thing I also want to point out is that if you have new messages, over on the left menu there, there will be a small dot, little icon there to indicate by the envelope to indicate that you have messages. If you don't have any new messages, you won't see that dot. So that's just a quick little visual reference for you and an easy way to check if you've got messages in your courses without having to actually open either the message tab or all of your courses to check. Now the messaging, I'm sure most of you have probably, oh, sorry, I got ahead of myself. Over here on the right is that if you want to click if you want to send a message, you click the new message icon, right? And that will take you to the message page, right? And this is what your messages page looks like in the course. And you can see that this is where I'm at, right, actually, because along the top there, you see those tabs. One of them is the messages tab, right, in your course. So if you click that in your course, it will take you to this messaging page where you can see all of your course messages displayed. They will display it in order. If you want to add a new message, you simply click the new message icon here. So if I want to click a new message, right, I'm going to come over here and I'm going to click that. Okay. One thing that's interesting about messages is that you can actually set them up so that students don't reply or can't reply, which is kind of strange. But when you're on the messages tab, first you want to select recipients for the message. On the messages tab, this can be an individual, it can be a group, or it can be the entire course, right? Or anywhere in between. When you've done that, then the text editor, right, you see down there, pretty straightforward, right? This is the same text editor you have everywhere in Blackboard. So that allows you to send more than just a plain text message, right? Or a plain email. You can actually add links. You can put media in there. You can upload files. So the messenger really is pretty rich. You can add quite a bit of stuff. You can even embed Kaltura videos if you so desire. And one of the things about the message tab, and this is something that actually, when it first started out, it was completely contained within Blackboard. It was like the messaging was all in Blackboard and you couldn't actually send messages as an email copy. They received a lot of complaints about that. So you can send your messages not just in Blackboard, but you can also send it to send an email copy. Now, keep in mind that email sent through Blackboard goes to the student email account. And a lot of our students use their personal accounts. So just remind your students that, if they want to receive messages, the Blackboard messages, those will go to their student account and they will need to forward their student account to their personal account if they want to make sure and receive those messages. But it's nice because messaging now allows you to send an email as well. Oh, I see a question. Yeah, go ahead, Lee.
Hey, Mike. Question. I don't know. These days, kids just check their phone message instead of emails.
Yep.
I don't know if Blackboard have the capacity to send a message as text message to the student's personal phone. I don't know. Maybe not.
You know what? That is something that we've been hearing people talk about. You can't, and that's something that they're sort of working on. I know you can send text through the Navigate system, okay, which is it's a different system, and I think that we're getting that text capability in Blackboard, but again, it's the type of thing where if students don't have their cell information in there,
Sure.
it doesn't have any place to send it. So that's
all.
kind of the problem with that.
Thank
But
you.
yes, that is something that we've heard about, and that's definitely a functionality that they are looking to add. I wouldn't be surprised to see that show up fairly soon.
Thank you.
But yeah, you're right. That's definitely a concern because, and I'm kind of the same way, right? I check my text messages all the time. Don't always check my email, or maybe a couple days. So, excellent question. Any more? All right. Let's see. So I did mention that the messaging is all in Blackboard there, so you can always go back to your message page, and you'll have a list of all the messages you created that semester for your students. Now, the next thing is the announcements, and the messaging and announcements are kind of similar, but they're different enough that I think it's an important distinction to understand. You can certainly make all your announcements via messaging. You don't necessarily have to use the announcement feature. But the announcement feature is nice because it has this pop-up, which anytime you create a new announcement, if a student has not entered course or has not opened the course since you made that announcement, the first time they open the course, there will be this pop-up window that, like you see right here, that puts the announcement right in front of them. Now, it is definitely possible. You see there's that dismiss button. It's definitely possible to click through the announcement without reading it. And I can definitely see, I can envision a scenario where a student is in a time crunch, right? It's 5 minutes before they have to turn in their assignment. So they're opening the course. This announcement pops up. They just click through it because they're want to make sure that they get in their course by deadline. Again, that doesn't mean that they're not responsible for it. They're, and they can go to the announcements tab in the course and get a list of announcements, right? So all your announcements will always be listed there. But this pop-up thing is really nice because it puts it right in front of the students. There's really no way for them to say, no, I didn't see it, right? Because it is there. The couple of the different things about announcements is that you can't send them to like a small group. They go out to the whole course, and they don't get. And I think you can also send them as email messages if you want, which is nice. And the other thing about announcements too is that you can save them as drafts and schedule them to go out at different times. So unlike messaging, which you can't do that. So for example, if you have a time when class is going to be canceled, you can actually set up an announcement, have it go out a week before, and schedule that to go out automatically to students to tell them, hey, class is canceled. You can save your drafts or just post them right away, whichever you want to do. And I think, so if you see, that's the announcements tab right there. And then to add an announcement, you click that little plus icon on the side, and that will open up the announcement window. And you can see it goes out to everybody. You just type in your message. Again, you have this rich text editor, so you can add other items to your announcements if you want. They don't have to be just text. And then you can see that down there you have a couple of extra options. Remember that when you make an announcement, you have to post it, right? It won't go out until you've posted it. So yeah, and you can see here, this is where if you want to schedule it, you simply click that schedule your announcement button, and then you can schedule when to go out. You can schedule it to hide, although most times once you've posted an announcement, you'll generally leave it up unless there's a reason to take it down. Yes, and then finally, this is, like I said, you can excuse me, save drafts of your announcements. So like you can see here where some of these announcements are posted, some of them are ready to be posted, and some of them were scheduled to go out. And so that's just sort of what this looks like. But if you go on that announcements page, you can keep track of your announcements and see when they're ready, which ones have gone out, which ones need to go out. It's similar to like when you grade, right? You can grade things in advance, so you can create your announcements in advance, but they don't actually go out until you post the grades or the announcements. All right. Was there another question, or was your hand up from previous?
No, Mike, I just have no question. I just have one quick comment.
Sure.
I like to use announcement instead of message, because for announcement, when you copy your old class to new class, the announcement will automatically copy it as well. So a lot of times I have scheduled announcement, during the course of the year of the course. Then I can, instead of recreating the wells, I can just change the date that it's sent out instead of, I have to write another message or something. I thought this is really cool. I just, add a comment there.
Well, thank you for sharing that. That's an excellent, yeah, that's great. That's a wonderful consideration, because these announcements will come through with with the course copy. So that can be a big time saver, especially if you have, announcements that go out on a weekly basis, things like that. So awesome. Thanks for sharing that. All right. So next, we're going to talk about Collaborate. And Collaborate is the video conferencing tool, they call it Class Collaborate, that is included in Blackboard. It's there under the Details and Actions menu. You can enter it. Excuse me. There's a course room that is always open, and you can also set up dedicated class sessions to recur, things like that, by clicking we'll go into this a little bit. One thing I do want to say is that Collaborate is going to be going away next year, simply because we have other video conferencing tools available at the university, and this is basically just a redundancy. Teams and Zoom will still be available, and they do integrate with Blackboard, so you can still use it to teach class and things like that. But if you click on the Collaborate, 3 dots to open the menu, this is where you can set up everything, right? You can, and mostly you'll be managing all sessions. That's what you'll click to set up, like your class sessions, if you want them to, if you set up a Tuesday, Thursday class session, you'll do that from there. But you can also come in here. This is where if you make recordings, they will be here. It's all contained. All your Collaborate stuff is contained on that 3-dot menu. Mostly, like I said, what you're going to be doing is managing the sessions and viewing your recordings. Occasionally, you may need to get a guest link for the room. Okay. So the next thing I want to talk about in terms of communication are rubrics. Rubrics are available in the assignment settings, you can add a rubric to your assignment from the assignment settings, but you can also set up rubrics from the gradebook. So we'll talk about that in a minute. But rubrics are nice because it's a very clear way to communicate your expectations on assignments to students. The other nice thing about the rubric is, since it is a very clear communication to students, it's very helpful for students because if they take some time to look over the rubric, they won't spend time on things that aren't important for the assignment. And I think that's probably the biggest plus to using rubrics is that, and that it clearly communicates your expectations to students. But so basically what you'll do is in the assignment, you click the gear icons, you scroll down, and you'll click this link here to add your rubric. And when you do that, it will take you to this settings where if you have rubrics that you've already created, they will be here. So any rubrics that you've created previously will be listed here. You can reuse rubrics, or you can create new ones. And there's also a new tab there you see on the right to generate rubrics, which basically is an AI thing that will generate a rubric for you, which is nice. But when you generate rubrics, always make sure to vet those, right? It's very important that you, anything you create with the AI tools, you vet thoroughly, because sometimes they make mistakes. So just be aware of that. But if you click the create button, if you're going to create a rubric from scratch, basically it starts out, it defaults to this sort of 4x4, but you can add columns and rows by hovering your cursor on the lines between. You'll see a plus icon come up, and you just click that to add rows. You can see along the top, you've got your performance levels, and along the side, you've got your descriptors, the criterion that tell which what each area is. So like, you'd have like grammar, content, transitions, something like that. You can set it up however you want. And then inside the cell there, that's where you type out a description of what the work would look like, right? So it's very clear and laid out to students in a very clear and concise manner. Well, I'm running out of time here. Okay, so I'm not sure why this is here. Oh, okay. So again, the other way, that's what that was. The other way to create rubrics is from within the gradebook. So you can create them inside your assignment, but you can also create rubrics ahead of time by clicking on this gradebook tab here, right here, and then click on the gear icon, which will open the area in the gradebook where you can create rubrics. Now, like I said, this is nice because say, if you have a few rubrics that you want to add, you can add them in here, and they will be available then when you go to create assignments and you click on the rubric tool, you'll see them all available. And all you do is click to attach them. Let me see if I've got that. Yep. And when you grade them, and then you'll see it as it's part of the grading workflow. Whoops. So when you go to grade your assignments, if you've assigned a rubric on that right side panel where the feedback is, you'll see the rubric, and you just can click in the performance level. It will automatically assign the score to the student if you use a rubric. All right, now we're going to move on to discussions, which is another great way to communicate. A lot of times instructors will put a a dedicated discussion board in for questions, things like that, which is a good way for you to create sort of a Q&A in your course. You can create discussions from the content page. Anytime you create a discussion in the content page, it also is added to the discussion page. So if it's a discussion that you want your students to see, like say it's a discussion on a weekly discussion topic, you'll probably want to put those on your content page. But for some of the other things like say Q&A or something like that, you may just put that on the discussion page. It's entirely up to you. So, but when you, this is the discussion, this is an example of the discussion page, which will display all available discussions, right? So just because you see it on the content, if you see it on the content page, you will also see it here. But if you see it here, you won't necessarily see it in your content, I guess is where I'm going with it. But to create a new discussion, you simply click the new discussion tab. All right. And we're going to talk briefly about class conversations. Unfortunately, this is tied to Collaborate. So I think some of this stuff is going to be going away soon. But when you are setting up your assignment, there's a little box you can check to allow class conversations. And what that does is it basically sets up a dedicated discussion board for that assignment, right? So it's basically, and this is where you can use this instead of, like a lot of people will use class conversations instead of having that one discussion board for conversations, because using the class conversations is nice because it's tied to the assignment. So you don't have to sort of try to figure out what assignment the student is talking about. So using the class conversations, that allows people to ask you questions, and you will see, if you have class conversations enabled, you will see this icon here. And if you see a little purple dot in the speech bubble there by that icon, that means that somebody has asked a question. So you will click on that and that will take you to the discussion area where the question will be listed and you can respond. And you can see this is, it's just like our normal text messaging. You can add additional stuff in addition to text, right? You can add links, attach files, etc. And then again, this is another way you can see if there's something in that class conversation for you to pay attention to. You can see this in the course. This is actually in the course content. So if you have those class conversations enabled and there's something for you to look at, you will see this little icon, this little speech bubble icon with the blue dot. And you just click it to access the question. All right, and that again, you can see this is where that little class conversation icon is when you're in the assignment itself. It's kind of up in the right corner. It can be kind of easy to miss, so I just wanted to point that out. And I know we're starting to run short on time, so I'm going to hurry up and get through this last bit. The last thing we have here for you is journals. Now you set up journals again by clicking the plus icon as you would to start anything, right? And on that create panel, it's down under participation and engagement. Now, if you add a journal, this is a private conversation between you and that student, okay? So you can set up the journal for your whole class, but each student will just be basically corresponding with you in that journal, right? Journals are great because a lot of instructors like to use them as sort of a weekly sort of temperature taking, where students are expected to each week, just sort of sum up their learning for the week, what they had a hard time with, what they did well, and what they think they might need to improve on, right? And that's sort of a way to set up a dialogue between you and the student, right? Because you can open that journal and you can respond to them to offer, helpful suggestions, feedback, stuff like that. And it just sort of sets up that dialogue between you and the student that should be ongoing throughout the semester, right? You don't want a situation where you're halfway through the semester and you have not, you realize there are a couple of people that you just haven't talked to, right? And so setting up a journal and communicating back and forth weekly or semi-weekly, whatever, is a good way to sort of get that relationship established. And continue it for that matter. Journals are, this is just what it looks like when you click one to set it up. All you have to do, again, we got that same old text editor. Just type in your journal entry and submit it, and then you can respond. All right. And again, just like the class conversations, when there's new stuff in the journal for you to look at, you will see this little icon here. Okay, when you're in the, and this is, so when you open the journal, there are two different tabs. There's a journal tab, and then there's the participation tab, which will show you if your students are, oh, I have a question. Yes. So unmute yourself.
Is it journal and message same? Like I feel like same features on journal and messages.
They're very similar, but it's different because the journal is sort of an ongoing thing that you will keep adding to throughout the semester, whereas messages are just sort of one-offs, where you send a message to somebody and then the next time you need to, you send another message. Whereas the journal, you'll be able to look at and sort of, you'll see the progress over time. But they are, they're very similar, yes. If you just need to communicate with students about specific things, I would use messages. But for maybe a longer dialogue about a student's learning and their progress in the class, you might want to consider using a journal because you can look back on that and sort of see the progress over time. Excuse me. Great question. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. That makes sense.
Yeah. Anything else?
Thank you.
No? All right. Well, I know we're right up at the time here. We got like 3 minutes left. So if there are any questions, please feel free to ask them. Thank you very much for being here today. I'm more than willing to stay after. So if you have additional questions that didn't get answered, if you want me to demonstrate something, feel free to stick around. And I'm happy to go through that with you. But if not, I'm sure you guys have places to be, things to do. So we are right at 3 o'clock now. So feel free to go if you have other commitments. But like I said, right now is the time for questions. So feel free to ask.
Thank you. I have not. Yeah. I don't have question, but I have a kind of I feel very good on participating in this workshop, and then